Good morning. I'm here with Warren Cohen, who is on his phone from the Stream TV show in Denver. Warren, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And you're using your phone because apparently everybody in the state of Colorado is on the Wi-Fi at the Stream TV show, and we were getting this funny little delay, like CNN remote broadcast where I asked a question, and then about a second later you answer. So we'll try not to do that. First of all,
Hopefully, we're in
how's the
sync.
show? How's the show?
Show's fascinating. I think the news this week that Fox bought Roku has given a lot of optimism in this space. People feel it's a big validation of the model, and so there's a lot of enthusiasm, and certainly with the way that there's all these new content trends and types and niche casting. It's really fascinating from the production and programming side too. There's a lot of ideas.
And in addition, anybody who even is thinking about trying to exit their company has already tightened up their deck and they're looking to meet with investors. Okay. You have just announced you're at the New York Post. You are all things video. You're the VP head of video and audio.
Yes.
You're everything that's not print.
Exactly. I mean, we're a 200-year-old newspaper, as you may know, founded by Alexander Hamilton in
1801,
1801.
the
Yeah,
oldest
exactly.
daily newspaper in the country. Okay.
But I like to joke the youngest video and audio team in the country too, but at least among newspaper companies.
And
We were a
and
little late to we're a little late to the game, but I think we're making it up with a lot of great programming and expansion as we're about to talk about.
and people on the train don't have to wear white gloves when they're reading the newspaper to avoid getting ink. I used to work in New York, so I saw a lot of those guys. Okay,
It was a badge of honor. The ink stain was a badge of honor.
that's exactly right. Okay. First of all, you're a Viacomie, an ex-Viacomie, as am I, although I predated you a little bit. And you came out in the VH1 and I think the MTV network side of the world, right?
Yeah, I was there at VH1 at Viacom at the cable boom. So we had about 10 great years where felt we could do no wrong. Everything, every year was more lucrative than the past year, as well as the audience grew with us. But of course, YouTube started in 2005, and that kind of changed everything. We knew, in our world that things were changing overnight, and I think it took, unfortunately, Viacom a longer time to realize it. But by the end of my tenure there, I'd shifted to a hybrid digital television role. We were doing TV programming, but also nascent digital series, and that sort of set me up a little bit for digital. And then when this opportunity at the Post came along, it was such a great brand name. I'd grown up reading it also, and the chance to really start from scratch with a new brand that I would help creatively define was too much to pass up.
Cool, man. And just for grins to cement the connection that we have, you are working at 1211 Avenue of the Americas, which is where I started with Showtime in 1979, for God's sakes. Yeah, I know. What? 1970? Yeah, I've been knocking around for a while. Okay. Tell us about, first of all, is the name of the fast channel the New York Post or is it the fast what's it going to be called?
I think it's going to be called the New York Post. We tried a little bit with some of our podcasts to kind of rebrand them a little bit, and I think it's a little bit too much for the consumer to
Yeah,
introduce a new brand. We want to go with our flagship, what everybody knows.
the one that everybody knows. Okay. So, and you're working with Video Elephant to make it happen. I don't need to know the intricacies of that deal, but dude, when's it going to launch? That's the real question.
Yeah, we're all set on the programming production front right now. We're just waiting for us to finish kind of signing up a critical mass of distributors, which I think will be done in the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Cool, man. All right. So, um, you are responsible for everything at the New York Post that is not print, and you're focused right now on video. How did you get to the decision to launch a New York Post fast channel? How did that all happen?
Let's go back a few years. I'll give you the background. Certainly there's an expectation with a news brand that we are on the news, right? You hear about a fire, the people want to see a fire. You hear about an earthquake, and obviously our world has changed. Every camera now in the world is like the greatest assignment desk ever.
Yep.
So we spent a long time starting to make sure we were curating kind of the best video, whether it was from licensors or user generated content, or even things that our own cameramen have shot. really making sure we had the bona fides in kind of a daily news. But of course, for video, what we all know and what ultimately is I think the biggest consumer proposition is watching characters, formats, series. So we gradually took the learnings of what we were doing, what the audience was interested in, built some series, more and more formats, franchises. A few years ago, we really dove into YouTube deeply. We sort of got a authority and approval to, really see what kind of creative voice we could have outside kind of our own website.
Yep.
Because as you know, that the programming, each platform is different with its programming demands. With the website, we try to keep our videos about a minute. With YouTube, it's be a best practice to have 8 minutes or longer. So it was a whole new form factor for us. So of course, we started with kind of some podcasts that we began filming, daily talk shows. We have a big reality TV kind of recap area called virtual reality that's quite popular. And so we realized that through all these efforts, both in news, sports, and Page Six, we had a lot of content that was kind of worthy of a lean back broadcast experience. And that's when we approached Video Elephant and started to talk about it.
All right, so now we know, I know, maybe my audience doesn't know. Page six is where to find out what the hell's really going on in New York. And the sports is you get to praise the Yankees and complain about the Mets. Uh,
That's an old stereotype. We have many Mets fans now.
at least six or seven. Okay, never
Yeah.
mind, never mind. And everybody's a Knick fan, and we're recording this when the parade is happening in New York. And boy, talk about dedication to your job. You're missing the Knicks parade in Manhattan today, dude.
I know. I booked this trip long many weeks ago, and yeah, unfortunate timing.
All right. So now the New York Post mechanism used to be entirely reporters and photographers. So now you have reporters and maybe photographers and videographers. Okay. So when you're covering a story, fire in downtown Manhattan, to use your example. You now have a reporter there and you have a videographer. Where are you getting the video footage on news?
Yeah, we get it. We get it from a variety of places, and I think we like to actually save our personnel for things that are hugely value added. Not that the audience doesn't expect the fire, of course they do. But as I mentioned before, we have licensors that we can get that footage from super fast. AP, Reuters, etc.
Right?
We put
Okay.
another, we put an editorial layer matching it with our reporting, so it's not just pictures, but again, a little bit of our brand and point of view. And we save some of our videographers and personnel to do the stuff in the studio or in the field, these longer form productions.
Now, are you using user generated content for news?
For news, yes, we of course reach out for permission and we work with a company that's a News Corps company called Storyful, which is both a clearance and video verification company that we work hand in hand with. So yes, we do that, and that's a nice part of our business, but certainly not the whole part, and not I think it is that's the audience expectation. The Post is the news, what's happening right now. That's great. We want to continue that in our new world of social video and video. But I think where our opportunity lies are these kind of memorable talent, memorable series, memorable franchises that we're going to create.
I get that. And on the news stuff, I had a conversation not long ago with my friend Rob Weisbord, who's the president of Sinclair Broadcasting.
Yep.
And we were talking about a local broadcast station and getting user generated news and content from that. And he kind of used the example that there might be somebody out there covering an accident on I-95, right? But they wouldn't pick it up for their 5 o'clock news until they found a way to verify that. And oddly enough, he said they would verify it by looking at social media. And if they found that on Twitter and Instagram, not so much TikTok, but that they found a lot of people who were posting photographs and comments and videos of that same accident on Interstate 95, they would know that it was real, that it wasn't created with computer generated software. And so Do you have a particular time? Are you going to have newscasts? Are you going to have the 5 o'clock news? There you go. That's the question.
I think that space of sort of your headlines is really crowded and I think somewhat hard to differentiate, right? We're probably all covering that fire that you
Yep.
mentioned, right?
Yep.
Us and the locals. So again, I think the effort is to do things that where we can add value add. So I'll give you two examples. One is that we already have a deal with XM Radio for Page Six nationally syndicated radio show every
Okay.
day, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. We're going to now start filming that. And so that'll be like a good centerpiece. And again, it's like summarizing the best of our reporting, celebrity guests, as well as the perspectives of our hosts, Danny Murphy and Evan Riel. In the afternoons, we have a brand new national sports show with Adam Shine that also is covering the world of New York and national sports, but with his unique angle and personality. And I think we feel like, again, to offer something a little more differentiated than just the recap is how we want to play this fast channel for now.
You have a good model of turning a Sirius XM channel into video with some guy named Stern. I think his first name was
Yeah,
Howard.
yeah,
But the
yeah.
fact of the matter is,
Rings a bell, rings a bell.
but there's a mechanism there. There's a process, and the consumers can say, "Oh, I sort of get that. I listened to that, and now I can watch that." Importantly, and I got to watch my time, you're a fast channel, which means for all intents and purposes, you're linear start to finish, sign on at 12:01 and sign off at midnight, but you never really sign off. Do you also have this content available in an on-demand environment?
Yeah, much of the content's also on YouTube, so folks can watch it in different ways. There's a few other distributors we're working with, but I think the promise of a fast channel really is, as you say, the virtues of traditional broadcast.
Turn it
The
on and let it
burn,
go. Yeah.
turn it on, let it go, lean back, the sensibility, the voice, the perspective. When people like to post, they're not shy about telling people other folks how much they like the post. So we're really trying to lean into that. The other thing that's interesting in this world is we've really studied this. We haven't found cannibalization of the audience, right? That's your first fear that we're going to take from one pot for another pot. But it's interesting how demographically distinct a lot of these platforms are. So we find that, again, when we expand into a new area, the viewership's really additive.
Now, last question. We are absolutely going to run out of time. You are, as the New York Post, part of the Fox Corporation. So, to
No,
what
no,
extent?
sorry, Rick, we're part of News Corp. It's a separate holding
News
company.
Corp. Excuse me.
Same,
You're part of the News
same
Corp.
owner,
All
same
right. All
owner,
right.
two different companies.
But within that world, will you be reaching out across the hallway or up to another floor to work collaboratively with Fox News?
We don't have a formal relationship. There's no corporate structure that's a relationship. And Fox has been friendly, but we also do a lot with CBS, ABC. A lot of the news folks, as you know from your years in the business, you're one day you're going to say courtesy of someone else, and they'll repay the favor. So there is a little bit of honor among the news gatherers. But yeah, we have a good relationship with Fox, but they're the same with our other national brands as well.
So if Fox News wanted to pick up your daily page, I'm making this up, your page six show, that's a conversation you would probably have. Not guaranteed you'd do it, but you'd certainly have that conversation.
If we could expand distribution in a meaningful way to anyone who called us up, we would entertain it, of course.
I like that. Well, this is exciting. I can't wait to watch it.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for making yourself available. Get yourself back to the conference. Warren Cohan from the New York Post, thank you for your time, buddy. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.